Welcome back to Creation and Elevation. Today's topic is things are only difficult through your thoughts or difficult in a mental aspect. So today I was sitting down and I was having journal thoughts. I was sitting down and I had an epiphany about life. Here's what I wrote down. I said, everything that makes you feel uncomfortable is only in your mind. The physical task isn't really hard. So when I say this, I'm trying to emphasize on how when there's something that we need to get done, majority of the time, it's not because we're too tired or the job is physically demanding. It's because our mind puts a limit. Our mind wants to sit down and be comfortable instead of go and do that thing that could either help us, that could possibly help us in the future, depending on what aspect it is. If you want to go work out or work on a business project, in your mind, you're like, oh, let me procrastinate. You begin to procrastinate. You want to know why? Because in your mind, you don't want to do that thing. All right, let me continue. So everything is really about controlling your mind or just having that boldness to ignore that voice and keep going. If you have that strength and ability to go and pursue that thing, oh, your mind said it immediately. Oh, I want to go do this. Or you have to go do this. If your mind tells you to go relax, do the opposite. Because just because you have time doesn't mean you have time. What's understood doesn't have to be explained. If you know, you know. Just because you have time currently, like for people who are youthful, yes, you have time. Yes, you have time to fool around, do everything, make mistakes. But will you do that? That's the question. All right. And then I go in, I say, our brains are programmed to keep us safe and protected. And the best way to do that is by keeping you in a state of being comfortable. You must recode and rewire your brain. Get past that mental limit. This is something that's engraved in us. We usually want to sit down. If I'm honest, as a person, let me tell you my opinion. As a person who's always striving to get out their comfort zone and always doing more or always choosing to branch out, I have my moments where I just want to sit down and not do anything. But I have to break and rewire my brain to think, oh, nah, I really don't want to sit here. Yes, I have my moments where I sit down and I'm like, oh, let me sit down and relax. But also majority of the time in my mind what's going on is I have to progress. I have to keep on going. So then it's just repeat. And eventually it becomes a part of who I am. It becomes my character. Because like I say, we're creatures of habit. So the thing that you do continuously becomes your character. It becomes who you are as an individual. You do good deeds, you become a good person. You do bad deeds repetitively, you become a bad person. All right. In doing this, you give yourself the ability to change and have your mind go from one of limit and staying in comfort to one that jumps at the chance to get out of the comfort zone. The more you repeat this process, the more it becomes programmed in you. Then it becomes your character. You will have moments where you may go back to that old way of thinking, but that is when having mental strength comes into play. So, if you have that mental strength, you have that ability to be like, nah, you have that ability to tell your mind, that little voice in your mind, nah, man, I ain't going for that. That's when you could branch off and do more, because you want to know what? You're not being controlled by your mind. You're controlling your mind. You're the one in control. That voice, the more you tell that voice to be quiet, the more faint it gets. The more faint it gets. The more you feed something, the more it will grow. If you feed a dog or a child, it'll grow. If you don't feed them, that was a bad analogy. I'm gonna go back to what I was doing. Okay. Remember, before you make a move, it happens mentally. So having that mental strength and discipline will allow you to surpass every and anyone. That mental strength will allow you to push yourself past your physical limit. When I came upon this analogy, I thought about it more from an aspect of working out or doing something that's very like physically uncomfortable, physically challenging. Because there's a lot of things where we might be too tired, but if we have that ability to say, man, there's only 30 minutes, we could go do this. You got that difficult task out the way. Especially when the task is more physically demanding, you could easily get that task out the way. Okay. Okay, let me finish. That mental strength will allow you to pass your physical limit, which shouldn't be done in some aspects, but you know when to do it. So, in some aspects, you shouldn't push yourself physically. If you hurt yourself, I don't think, if I broke my leg, I'm not going to walk on my broken leg because I'm, so macho and strong. No. Sit down, heal, relax. You have to know when to party, you have to know when to relax and when to work. All right. A majority of people who are stuck in life usually are stuck mentally, which then destroys their future or hinders their potential. That's where I finished off. That's one big thing. A lot of people, if you look at their lives, they're probably stuck in some point of their life. A lot of people, I see them stuck in their childhood or high school. This is people who you could say peaked in high school, but that it depends on all aspects. Because there's some people who, when they face a certain trauma in their life, that's where they stop growing mentally. If they face a certain trauma when they were 15, that's when they stop growing in their head. Oh, the best moments of your life were when you were 15. You're more likely going to operate like that 15-year-old. And some people, they're just stuck like that. Some people just have to live like that. And the thing is, you need to get out that mind space. You need to get out that box. I feel as if it's better to think ahead of your time than behind your time. But also, everything has a double-edged sword. Everything has its benefits, but it also has its negatives. I would say being ahead of time has many positive benefits, but it also has very negative benefits depending on your age group. Being in the past will never benefit you because the past is the past. There's no growth in the past. The past will always remain the same. There's no changing it. The present is the place and the time, space, and time frame that you could change things. So be aware, have that mental strength, and understand. If I can control my mind, I can control my reality. It's creation and elevation. I'm calm.